I don't have a strong really opinion. I don't have a bias on this. I feel like there is enough for people to hang their hats on. I mean, basically, it sold off a little bit coming into earnings. It came off from like 105, 106 down to 98. The earnings seemed good enough for it to hold above 101, but at the same time, if it got up to like 103 and change and failed and then took out 101, it wouldn't surprise me if they flushed it all the way back down. Again, just because it's see, this looks like last quarter. So last quarter, no, that's 2 quarters ago. Last quarter, they gapped it up and crushed it. So they gapped it up to 125 last quarter. That's right. The numbers were really good last quarter, and then there was a sell the news situation because it had run up from the mid-90s. Now I'm remembering it. And so, yeah, it really should stay above 100. 103 is interesting because it supported there a bunch of times, tried to bounce back up here. So I guess the way I'm prepared for either direction, but if it shows strength on the open and takes out 103 and is holding above there, I played on the long side. What do we have? I have 106.20, so yeah, it's to right to here. So the upside's to here, unless they go nuts on it. And on the downside, this is probably a VWAP from yesterday, 101 or something. If it starts to hold below 101, you could look for the rollover. I don't see why they'd really crush it below 100. So maybe have some alerts into 100 as well and right below it. And if it flushes through 100, then you notice it gets back above 100 spot 50, look for the bounce. So that's both sides covered for you. RCII merger got canceled. And they got some money in the deal, but these are always a little bit tricky because you have to figure out what has the market done since the merger was announced, which caused it to go up. The merger was announced over the summer when the market was still strong, very strong actually. And so what would this stock have done prior to the merger announcement with this rollover in the market? I mean, maybe this would be down here at $9 or even $8. They canceled the deal, but they got a bunch of money, which is probably worth, I don't know, a couple of dollars a share. So with the market swoon, if it would have been down here at $9, a couple of dollars a share, maybe it can support at 11. And at the same time, people are also factoring in, is somebody else going to come along and buy them? And that seems kind of unlikely. So I would lean towards it probably being an easier short. It's been a really clean short since it started to trend here. They're trying to buy it here, so I would look for another lower high, I guess. I think I probably put 13 as resistance on the sheet, but it's, does it pop up here and make a lower high? So that's that. Best Buy from yesterday. So Best Buy never got to our flush prices on the open, was just strong, had a strong bid. So tried to play it on the pullback to the morning support. Held there a few times, finally broke down with the market, and then just kept on trending. It would be kind of cool. I don't know why it would flush down to kind of our buy areas today, but it was the low yesterday afternoon, 51.60. It's more likely, if anything, if the market swoons, it comes into that kind of this area here. I mean, ideally, it would have been nice to buy it on a flush right on the open here and play it for a move back up to this recent downtrend and see if it got back to 55. If you notice, it's consolidating again above 53 for the first like 30, 45 minutes and starts to break to the upside. Then yeah, it could take out yesterday's high and fill this gap, soft gap fill into $55. Let me take a quick look at NAV. Somebody put on there. NAV is okay sometimes. Sometimes it's nasty. I think Icon's out of it now. So let's see. These truckers have really been hammered. It looks like the numbers were probably good. It's gapping up. Let's quickly see. So they guided for next year. No, they guided up. It's pretty good. All right, so just like the entire sector, it's been hammered. You can see it's tried to bounce a few times recently. the volume has gotten less and less over the year, so it may not do, on the busy days, it does 2.5, 3 million shares now, which I guess is okay. Kind of just looks like the market, doesn't it? Support around 24.80 to 23.60, and it looks like it hit both those prices already and bounced. So people were definitely looking at the longer term chart as the numbers came out. I'm sorry, it actually hit those yesterday. So it hit longer term support coming into the numbers. The numbers are okay. And I still have a reasonable pullback. Would probably be somewhere in this area right here. Really strong would be at holding 26 on the open. It came off from 27. So it's 27, 28 resistance. Two ATR range would be from here to here. So I think it's okay. I think they're on the conference call right now. Going back to J&J. So the CEO came out and said some kind things about the company yesterday, which I don't remember what time he did that. Was that middle of the day? I think it was right 2 o'clock. So, okay, so it was this up move here. So after he said his kind things about his company, it did roll back to 28, which was kind of the morning support. Yeah, it actually held morning support. It's gapping higher this morning. And I still just think that from a headline standpoint, I don't see people buying back into this, but let's see. 130 to 130.50-ish puts in like a higher low this morning. The after hours, it was 130.50 yesterday. Yeah. It's Aaron just put in a comment there about the settlement will be manageable. I definitely don't think the company was ever in jeopardy. I think someone asked me that yesterday. It really is, though, a question of do people want to be seen as having this in their portfolios as just really bad headlines, poisoning babies, just not good. But from our standpoint, it came off from 148 to $20 here. 25, it's already retraced. Well, 133 would be about a quarter retracement. I just don't think it's going to do a 50% retracement. But if it did, that would consolidate in this 133 area and then break to the upside and kind of test where it failed on the initial down day to here, which is 136 as we have as R3 on the sheet. Costco, definitely like it in the flush through 200. So that's that. DWT, right? So inverse, is oil going to bounce? Oil right now is at 49.20. It's a way for you guys to play it with it just a little bit more juice if it bounces. Also, and then you have the natural decay the same way we trade VXX on the short side when the market starts to stabilize. So USO has already bounced. It was 10 1/4 in the pre-market. It's come off a lot the last couple of days. So the way to look at this is USO. Does USO start to hold above 1040? It's above 1040 right now in the pre-market. This is where it consolidated at the end of the day yesterday. So I would just have some alerts at like 1048, 1050, 1055. If you see that strength and it actually doesn't pull back, stays above 1040, you would play that inverse triple thing that's on there on the short side. So that's it. Let me just go back to the SPYs for a second. So I forgot to record the top of the meeting. So short-term, very oversold. Yes, we look to short the pops all the time in the SPYs because the sellers, just the market that we're in. But understand it just gets a little bit trickier up here. Not saying if it pops back into the closer to 258 on the open, I'm not going to be shorting it. I will. But just understand there's some risk here. I don't think we'll get above 260 today, but there's some risk that we have a bigger bounce, just because people will be nervous about the Fed announcement tomorrow. The best situation from a trading standpoint would be us actually bouncing to 260 today, and then kind of having a big move off of that 260 after the Fed announcement tomorrow afternoon. It would actually be okay if we closed kind of weak today down in the below 255, because then with a bad Fed thing, we could actually maybe take out yesterday's low and get closer to 250, which I'm sure people are just, there's plenty of people waiting to buy in as we got closer to 250, which could create like a big flush and maybe actually a $6 to $8 reversal. Tomorrow's could be pretty exciting. So there's a bunch of possibilities there. But today, look for, I think it's reasonable to think that today will be narrower than yesterday. Even a $5 range today would be 59 to 54, which is pretty good range to work with. As always, be patient and good luck.